My name is Hope. I'm 37 years old, and I've been married to Alan for 13 years. We've built a good life together. Alan is a hard worker. He leaves early in the morning and often comes home late. Sometimes he works on weekends too. It hasn't always been easy, but we've made it work. Alan has a longtime friend named Drew. They went to school together years ago, and over time, Drew became part of our lives. He visited often, helped with things around the house, and was kind and supportive, especially when Alan was busy. At first, I welcomed his presence. Our home felt warmer when he was there. But over time, things began to shift. Drew started coming by more frequently, sometimes even when Alan wasn't home. He stayed longer. He talked to me more, watched me more closely. I noticed the way his eyes lingered. One morning, while I was making coffee in my pajamas, he told me I looked beautiful, more beautiful without makeup. I thanked him politely, but inside, I felt uncomfortable. That night, he texted me, "Thank you for the coffee this morning. You're very kind." It seemed innocent enough, but something about it felt too personal. And the texts continued asking about my day, telling me about his. It was beginning to feel like more than friendship. Then came the question, "Would you like to have coffee with me? Just the two of us." I was confused. A part of me wanted to say yes, it had been a long time since someone had taken an interest in how I was feeling in my daily life. But I also felt uneasy. Something didn't feel right. I declined. "Maybe another time," I said. Drew smiled, but his eyes were serious. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" I nodded, but I was confused. At a small party at our house weeks later, while I was doing the dishes, Drew came up behind me. He stood too close and said, "If life were different, maybe you and I." He didn't finish the sentence. My heart raced. I laughed nervously and said, "That's silly, Drew." But his eyes told a different story. "Maybe it's not so silly," he said. I felt pulled in two directions. I loved my husband deeply, and I would never betray him, but I also felt something else. I felt seen. I felt wanted, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Things escalated. One evening, as I was bringing in groceries, Drew appeared to help. On the porch, he stopped me. "Hope," he said quietly, "I love you. I have loved you for a long time. Alan is my friend, but he doesn't see you the way I do. He's always working. He doesn't know how special you are." I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. "You can't say these things to me," I finally said. "But they're true," he insisted. "I know you feel it too. I see it in your eyes when you look at me." I told him no. I told him I loved my husband. I told him what he was asking was wrong. He begged me not to tell Alan. "Please," he said, "it would ruin our friendship. It would ruin everything." I stood there, heart pounding, and made my choice. I have to tell him. I can't keep secrets from my husband. That night, I waited for Alan to come home. I was terrified of what he would think, of how he would feel. When he arrived, I sat him down and told him everything. Every glance. Every message. Every word. Alan listened quietly. When I finished, he was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "Thank you for telling me. I know that was hard. I'm not angry at you. I trust you. You did the right thing." The relief was overwhelming. But we both knew something had shifted. Our foundation had been shaken. But we had chosen to face the storm together. The next week, Alan called Drew and invited him over. The three of us sat in the living room. Alan looked at his friend and said, "Is it true? What Hope told me?" Drew nodded, ashamed. "Yes," he said. "I'm sorry." Alan's voice was calm but firm. "You've been my friend for many years. But my wife comes first. Always." I set my boundaries clearly. No more private messages, no more late-night calls, no more comments about how I look, no more invitations to spend time alone. Drew apologized. "I understand. I was wrong," he said. Then he left. Over the next few weeks, Alan and I worked hard to rebuild our trust. We spent more time together. We talked openly. We took walks and had quiet dinners. We found each other again. I realized this wasn't just about Drew, it was about the distance that had grown between Alan and me. He had been absent, and I had felt lonely. We both had things to work on. One night, I asked him, "What saves a marriage? Silence or honesty?" He didn't hesitate. "Honesty. Silence builds walls. Honesty builds bridges." He was right. Drew kept his promise. He stopped calling. He came around much less. When he did, it was brief and respectful. Alan and I continued to heal. We created new traditions. Morning coffee together. Saturday breakfasts. Sunday evening baths. Small things that brought us closer. On our 13th anniversary, we returned to the restaurant where we had our first date. It looked the same. The food tasted the same. But we were different. We were older, stronger, wiser. "I love you more now than I did then," Alan said. "How is that possible?" I asked. "Because now I know what it means to almost lose you, not to another man, but to my own mistakes. I know what you're worth now." I reached across the table and held his hand. "I love the man you were. I love the man you're becoming." A few months later, Drew sent a letter. He was moving to another city for a new job. He apologized again and said he hoped Alan could forgive him someday. We didn't write back. We weren't angry anymore. Just sad. He had thrown away a good friendship for something that was never real. That's a hard truth. Then one day, Drew called. He sounded different. Older. Sadder. "Hope," he said, "I just wanted to say thank you. For being honest. For telling Alan the truth. You didn't let me believe there was hope for something that was never right. That was kindness." He told me he was in therapy. That he'd met someone, Sarah. She was kind and grounded. I'm learning what real love feels like now, he said. Not the selfish kind, but the kind that gives. I wished him well. After we hung up, I told Alan. How do you feel? He asked. At peace, I said. And I was. Drew was healing. So were we. That evening, Alan and I sat on our front porch. The sky was painted with soft colors. Children played down the street. The neighbor's dog barked in the distance. Alan reached for my hand. What are you thinking about? He asked. About how different things could have been if I had made a different choice, I said. But you didn't, he said. You made the right one. You chose us. I nodded. Yes. I chose us. This is what I've learned. Love is not just a feeling. It is a choice. And every day, I choose to love Alan. Some days that choice is easy. Some days it's hard. But I keep choosing. We both do. Our life is not perfect. Our marriage is not flawless. But it is real. It is ours. It is beautiful in its ordinariness. And it is strong because we made it strong together. I stand still. I breathe. I choose us, and I will keep choosing us every single day.